live. We go on live.
But you have to tag everybody. Let me see where the tagging part is. Look
Yeah.
Type of everybody's name, eh? Wait, go press tag again. Why is not going? Invite, right, search up everybody friends first. Put Geeta Kanhai.
Yeah.
Geeta Mohammed. Kazi. Missy Lagan right there. Capital Lagan right here. Missy Lagan right there. Right. Sunita. And put down Sasha. If you see it, Sujata. Right.
And Geeta. Yeah.
Geeta Kanhai.
Nice. Film. She my friends. Yeah. Alright. Chandra. CEJN. Yeah. 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 Right?
Yeah. If you want to walk out.
Yeah, walking out.
Kidding. Nah, they kid.
Yeah. Use friends on the video?
On Facebook now. But I can see
Yeah.
on WhatsApp.
Already 4 days.
Yeah, put it on the other.
Follow lock, okay? Yes, sir.
I don't know.
No, I would have to remain now.
अब जल जगी ले कमन हम
Yeah, later.
आएर गाउँको रेडी गएको छैन
Something around.
When we go
के को पनि है
get a piece of foil, yeah, foil. The foil is put at the ocean. Come.
And I say, put me in note. And that's why hold it. I said, put it in note.
Travis, you had a request. You have your phone? Request. Request would go on anti-video profile and request. Video lagan. Video help Travis to find your profile now. So he could request. He could request on the live.
Have you anybody? Yeah. Turn around, buddy. Turn around. Just a second. Jump on. Let's spin it around.
Just spin it. Just spin it. Put on room.
That's in nervous? Yeah. Have you actually seen now on anybody? Not that anything else I am. This is you married? Yeah.
No, she don't have that question right. But she said, Missy, call Missy.
Yeah,
No, Missy wouldn't be able to do it.
Who then did?
No. I just want one of his sisters to be who were relative.
Call Geeta Chandra.
Yeah.
What is the other headphone?
Put it down there.
It's okay.
Look, and this is the video line, right?
Come son, put it.
Oh, the
Okay.
everything.
Call said to.
I really don't know.
What to do?
Yeah, just go ahead, shame with it.
Travis. Just bring me closer for him, man.
Alright.
Bring everything. Bring
everything. How a hole in Confirm, Travis. So.
To go live. Cut it out and go with like that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you don't get now.
She could not like she watching and she every watching she not like shot too. Come over.
Actually,
Anybody seen your people right?
yeah.
Somebody seen their comments.
That's it, right? Is that? Yeah, I got you.
This is going to be like a minute on my thing. Yeah, he's going to put down so figure out on my something. The IMHD. Yeah, that's it. You like that going through? You see my life? You have been watching it. We like the target. We are not trying to turn on the going through. Come on now. You're not friends with me. It's not my phone. You gotta ask. You gotta ask. How often? You gotta go on the live and request. How often do you want to go on video? Video like for me, I know my one that's fine. This is you? No.
Shell, S-H-E-L-L.
Yeah, see, yeah.
I see no one and one. It will not stop because I don't really notice it.
Check one.
Oh, what happened to watching it?
Principal of Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki. Principal of Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki. Okay. Devotees, we've come this morning to pay our final respects or regards, to send off this wonderful soul according to the tenets of Sanatana Dharma. And in so doing, we say goodbye to the physical form that we see here before us this morning. So at all times, I want us to take that form, that image, that concept of God that we hold so dear in our hearts, in our minds, and ask for that divine blessing as he or that entity is about to receive this ashram. So I'd ask everyone to please put your hands together, close your eyes and bow your heads. Om Shri Apavitra Pavitro Vasarvavastam Gato Viva Yah Smarit Pundarikaksham Sabahi Abhyanta Shuchihi Om Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu Om Tat Sakarih Srimad Bhagavato Mahapurushasya Vishnuragnaya Pravartamanasya Brahmano Dviti Pradhe Shvetavaraha Kalpe Saptamai Vaivasmanvantare Ashtavamshatam Yuge Kali Pratamacharane Jambudvipe West Indies Khande Trinadeshe Shri Vaibhan Grami Om Shri Palgun Mase Krishna Pakshe Ekadashi Tito Shri Purva Ashad Nakshatre Siddhi Yoge Bhavat Karane Shanivartine. Take your name in your mind. The individuals who are performing these rituals, take the name of the dearly departed and that family name. Nam manah kaik vachasik manasik natik sakaladoshi parihartam shruti smriti puranupapraptyartam atishri antishri samskaram aham karishye vasudev devam kamsachanuramardanam devake paramanandam krishnam vande jagadgurum. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Prince बोले श्री वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय. Okay, so devotees, the rituals connected with Sanatana Dharma, essentially what we are doing, we are preparing this body for that final Havan, and the rituals that are connected with it are purificatory in nature, purifying in terms of the water, the adornment of the body with the chandan and the essence and so on. So, water is the great purifier. Om Bhurbhuva Swaha Gotrasya Pretasya Shri Sharir Smanam Maya Diyate Tavopatishtatam Sharir Smanam Tavopatishtatam. We purify the body, the offering of water, the offering of chandan, sandalwood. Om Bhurbhuva Swaha Gotrasya Pretasya Chandanam Maya Diyate Tavopatishtatam Shri Chandanam Maya Diyate Tavopatishtatam. The offering of sacred oil to anoint. Om Tashan. Om Bhurbhuva Swaha Gotrasya Pretasya Shri Sharir Gandham Maya Diyate Tavopatishtatam Shri Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Narayanaya Vasudevaya Namo Namaha Gandham Maya Diyate Tavopatishtatam. The offering of the mala. Now, this is symbolic in nature. You see that the mala, the flowered mala, consists of different flowers, different shapes, different sizes. This represents the cycle of birth and death, different lives that we have to undergo, and it's all joined together by this thread of samsara, this cycle. Puranapi maranam, Puranapi jaranam. Again death and again birth. We continue on that cycle, but that is not our objective. Our objective is to break that cycle and to merge with the Supreme Consciousness. So this is why the mala is birth, representing a break from that world of samsara. So we ask that Bhagavan Shri Krishna allow this Atma, however long it takes, however janmas, how many janmas it takes to reach that stage of enlightenment, of divine, that merge into the Supreme Consciousness, that world of Maya and Samsara is broken. So you place that mala around the body. Om Shri Pushpam Maya Diyate Thavopatishtatam Gotrasya Pretasya Shri Pushpamala Maya Diyate Thavopatishtatam. So devotees, we have now the performance of Arati, the paying respect to that physical form. So while that is being done, we sing a bhajan, and very popular bhajan you all can join, and members of the immediate family who wish to perform Arati can do so as well.
Take off all the volume. Sorry. Now the volume, I go here? Yeah.
भूर्भुवस्वः गोत्रस्य प्रेतस्य यं द्वारे महाघोरे अन्धेनातमसावृते तत्रावलोकमार्टाय दीपोऽयं तवोपदेशकथाम् जय कृष्ण हरे श्री कृष्ण हरे दुखियों को दुख दूर करे जय 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 कृष्ण हरे जय कृष्ण हरे श्री कृष्ण हरे दुखियों को दुख दूर करे जय 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 कृष्ण हरे जब चार तरफ अंधियारा हो आशा का दूर किनारा हो जब चार तरफ अंधियारा हो आशा का दूर किनारा हो और कोई न केवल हारा हो फिर तू ही मेरा पार करे जय 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 कृष्ण हरे जय कृष्ण हरे श्री कृष्ण हरे दुखियों को दुख दूर करे जय 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 कृष्ण हरे Any member of the immediate family wants to perform arati can do so now. तू चाहे तो सब कुछ कर दे विष को भी अमृत कर दे तू चाहे तो सब कुछ कर दे विष को भी अमृत कर दे पूर्ण कर दे सबकी आशा पूर्ण कर दे सबकी आशा जो भी तेरा ध्यान धरे जो भी तेरा ध्यान धरे जय 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 कृष्ण हरे जय कृष्ण दुखियों को दुख दूर करे जय 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 कृष्ण हरे जय 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 कृष्ण हरे
You choose for me, sis.
Bhajan says, Lord, when will I be blessed with the opportunity of getting your darshan and sending this message to you, O Bhagwan? Hari ho Rama milan kab hoy andizwala ki rahi Hari ho Rama milan kab hoy andizwala ki rahi देही अर्थवामी इंद्रियन बहिया देही अर्थवामी इंद्रियन बहिया भाव के पंत चले ओ भव के पंत चले अंधिजवाला गिरही हरि हो राम मिलन कब होय अंधिजवाला गिरही पाप निश्चय में जीवन निंदिया पाप निश्चय में जीवन निंदिया भजन के भोर भये ओ भजन के भोर भये अंधिजवाला गिरही हरि हो राम मिलन कबहु अंडिजवा लागी रही जागृत स्वप्न सुषुप्तिरैया जागृत स्वप्न सुषुप्तिरैया जीतो तब राम मिले ओ जीतो तब राम मिले अंदिजवाला गिरही हरि हो राम मिलन कबहु अंदिजवाला गिरही वीर पुराण ग्रंथ बहु व्यंजन वीर पुराण ग्रंथ बहु व्यंजन पाकर भांज भली ओ पाकर भांज भली अंदिजवाला गिरही हरि हो राम मिलन कबहु अंदिजवाला गिरही हरि हो राम मिलन कबहु अंदिजवाला गिरही ओम यम द्वारे महाघोरे अंधेन समसावृते तत्रावलोकमाचाय दीपोऽयं तवोपदिष्टताम् ओम कृष्णाय गोविंदाय नमो नमः वासुदेवाय नारायणाय नमो नमः प्रेम से बोले श्री वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय. Devotees understand that someone has a few things to say, so I'll hand you over to that person who will share some thoughts and so on, please.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Today we are honoring, celebrating, and remembering the life of our beloved Geeta Kanhai Mohammed, born on the 30th of November 1978 to Desharan Kanhai and Raju Kanhai, better known as Sona and Chor. She grew up in the village of Kristal amongst her 9 siblings. When she was the tender age of 6, her father passed away, leaving her mother, Chola, to raise all 9 children. At the age of 19, Geeta got married to Shafi Mohammed, better known as Ed, and had their 2 beautiful children, Travis and Kaden, whom she adored. They were her pride and joy, and she would have done anything for her boy. Geeta was a woman of grace and courage. She had a wonderful way of making everyone feel loved and happy every time she was around. She had a big heart for people. Nothing was ever too much for her to do for someone, and I am humbled by the challenge of describing the fullness of her beauty and caring heart here today. Time spent with her was sacred to all her friends and family. Her love and kindness were infused in everything she did, from our many Korah and beach lines to her incredible cooking skills. Her pilau and fish broth was everyone's favorite, and of course, she must include her famous pepper sauce in everything she eats. She had a magical way of bringing joy every time she walked into the room. No one who met her could forget her smile. We will never forget the advice and the lesson she taught us. Her wisdom will forever guide the decision we make through the rest of our lives. Rest in eternal peace, our sweet angel.
Thank you very much. I will just leave the mic open for just a few moments. You know, we have to abide by time regulations and so on. So if there's anyone who would like to say a few words, just share some brief thoughts or memory, you can do so now. You can just step forward and run across there. Okay. All right. So I would use this opportunity to, you know, indulge a little bit in some of the thoughts that I think is necessary when we have the passing of someone, especially the passing of someone so young. So seemingly having so much of her life ahead of her. At times like these, we are all gathered here to do what? What are we here for, really? Why are we here today? Think of it. What have we come here to do? We've come to say goodbye. Some people would come to say goodbye to someone who you have shared a relationship with in some form or fashion. Some would be to pay your final respects and regards. Some would be to be a support for the family, the bereaved family. And some probably here to show our face. Well, the portion that we could see now, above the mask. But to the last set of persons who, you know, just come to show your face and to go back home, I want us to remember something. After today, grief doesn't end when the body is placed in a funeral pyre. Loneliness, loss, hurt, anguish, pain, that doesn't just go away just so, like that. And there are two young men, and by extension a family, that needs our support, collectively. So while we are here, we are not only here for today. We are here as a promise that we will be available for these young men especially, and for the family, should they need anything, should they require anything, should we feel the need to comfort them. That is what we are here for as well. It is a promise. So I'm going to ask, is there anyone here who has a problem to say that they will be here for the family if the family requires us to count on them, on us? So no one. So everybody, so look around at the person next to you, see that they made this promise. Right? That promise is there for all of us. All of us are here for that. There's another aspect of someone passing that we should all bear in mind. Somehow, when someone has reached an advanced age, and diseases, as the Guru Puran speaks about, diseases attack like foes, like enemies. They come, like a tigress, it says. A tigress means, you know, when a tigress hunts, it doesn't just come out at its prey. It stalks its prey, eats away, it goes, it evaluates the situation. So diseases are like that as well. And we feel it sometimes. As we get older, new pains and new trials, medical issues come up, not so? Parts of our body start to hurt that didn't used to hurt before. All of these things happen. And when people have reached an advanced age, the grief and loss is still there, but for some reason, we are able to understand it a little bit better because they have lived a long and fruitful life, and you know, we've come to expect or appreciate that life and understand it a little better. But when someone at this age leaves us, we start to question. We question why. Why this time? Why this person? But in life we have to understand that not everything we can get the understanding for at the time we want it. So for example, when we are in ABC or infants, and if we were to ask, how does rain fall? And the teacher would say, well, you know, rain involves evaporation, and then when we have evaporation, you have assimilation in the clouds, and then condensation, and then precipitation, and then runoff. Do you think that child would understand? No. As that child gets older and more experienced, then that understanding comes. So not all the things that all the questions that we have in life, we are able to get answers for them immediately. But a search within our scriptures and within our concept of God will indicate such. And it gives us a chance to evaluate life on the whole. 2 years ago, how many people would have made plans to travel? Say, right, I want to take that trip to the US or to a Caribbean country or and then all of a sudden, in a matter of days, and by extension a couple of weeks, the entire world has shut down. Who would have envisioned that? Who would have thought about that? None of us. But this is the reality we have to live in. How many of us would look at news and see people in China wearing masks and going about their business and say, wait, look at them now, boy. They have to wear masks all the time. What kind of thing is that? Would you look at us now? That reality has hit home. Death is like that as well. It is always a statistic. When we look at the newspaper, when we look at Facebook and we see the number who have passed away by COVID or whatever, it is just a statistic until it starts to hit home. Until it's someone we know, until it's someone we love. And then we begin to question. And questioning is good. Because we can get solace in our scripture. So I want to leave you with a little story. It's not based on any religious text. It's a story about a young man. He didn't believe in God. He didn't believe in the principle that there is a divine entity, that there is some being, some energy, some consciousness that is out there that is there to dictate what happens in the world. He saw suffering and so on and couldn't believe. So his father sees that, and his father tells him, his father goes to the king. And the king was a very wise man at that time. So the king and the father devised a plan for this young man to learn how he should appreciate life and not waste it. So the king and the father brings this young man to the courtyard. And the king gives this young man a bowl and fills it with oil. And he tells him, he says, I want you to walk through this entire kingdom and return to me with that bowl still full of oil. So the young man goes about. While on his journey, he looks and he sees a bazaar. And he goes and indulges. And then he passes again, he continues on his journey. When he remembers, continues on his journey, he sees a funeral procession. And he gets sad. And he's emotional. And his hand trembles. After a little while again, when he remembers that he's on his journey, he goes a little further. And then he sees a wedding, a happy time. And we all know what this happened in weddings and so on, right? Well, what used to happen? What's still happening now? Undercover. All this, frolicking and so on. And he indulges. And then he remembers again he has a journey. So he goes on his journey. Then he observes all the oceans and the streams and the birds and the trees and all of these things. And he returns to the king. And the king says, have you walked the entire kingdom? The young man says, yes. He says, well, let me see that bowl of oil. Look at the bowl of oil. Just a few drops remain in that bowl. Because all during his journey, he spills that oil. So the king says, well, you have to be put to death. So he says, no, I don't want to die. The king says, okay, part of life is forgiveness. So I will forgive you, but I will give you one more opportunity. Pull back that bowl of oil, and this time I want 2 guards walking with you, and they will have their swords, and their swords will be resting on your neck. And any moment a drop of oil spills from that bowl, your head will be severed and you will be killed immediately. So the young man starts on his journey, and he notices the bazaar, passes through the bazaar, but where is his mind fixed? On the bowl of oil. He sees the funeral procession. Yes, it's a time of grief, but he doesn't dwell there. He sees the wedding. Again, he notices it, but he doesn't dwell there. His mind is concentrated on that bowl of oil. Passes all the streams and the beaches and the birds and the trees, and then returns all the time mindful of those swords that are placed on his shoulder. When he returns to the king now, the king says, "Have you walked the entire kingdom?" "Yes, king." "Show me that bowl of oil." This time, the entire bowl of oil was there. What's the lesson to be learned? You see, we live life and we indulge in the bazaar, we indulge in the wedding, the funeral, we get emotional, we do all of these things, but we don't take time to remember our journey and to remember at any moment death can come immediately upon us. Anytime. No one knows the minute or the hour. No one knows that. If at all times we remember that this moment could be our last, then we would live our life with that in mind. And we would try to do the right thing. So always remember that as we go about our duties, no one says that you must not enjoy life, or no one says that you must not have grief and so on. But do not forget our journey. Our journey is to preserve life, is to take that path back to the supreme consciousness. And to the young men here, and by extension the family, all the rituals and rites that you perform here, that's good, beneficial. All those things are recommended in our Shastras, in our scriptures. But you know what is the best gift that you can do? What is the best ritual that you can perform? It is to live your life as how she would have wanted you to live. Live your life for the rest of your life. Let that be an offering. So that you know that whatever you do, whatever decisions you make, whatever path you choose, that is your offering to her. That you would have made her proud. Always remember that. So the rituals, when all of these things are completed, your life, let that be an offering. Mahatma Gandhi said that. Let your entire life be that offering. So devotees, in closing, I want us to always remember the memories that we have from that interaction that we would have had from our dear sister, and ask Bhagwan to please accept us as we begin this final journey. So let's put our hands together, close our eyes, and bow our heads. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marukah Stunvanti Divyaistavai Vede Sangapada Kramupanishade Gayanti Yam Samagah Dhyanavastita Satyatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam Navido Sura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bring Sabure Shri Vrindavan Bihari Ki Jai. Those who want to have a final viewing after they've offered the Pinda, we can do so before we begin that final journey. Those 5 stops, sending back the 5 elements of earth, fire, wind, water, and akash. The final journey.
Trees. You said it. What will make it?
Once again, so there are flowers here. So last opportunity to come offer flowers before we begin, before we go. Just remember the protocols as well. Maintain your distance and so on.
Yeah, no. Go out there, nice. Can I take another thing?
Leave it.
See, you see, do too much anything. Boy, if I hold a message from people and think they don't want to be work.
Flowers. Come back.
Let me move and get on voice control.
Right. Ready? Yeah. That's all. Captain. Huh?
Alright, let me let one go. That was the journey after.
Alright, we're gonna avoid the rain. Come past, come past.
Keep him calm.
Ram Nam, Satya Hai. Ram Nam, Ram Nam. Right. So I just wanted to stand up on your.
Go stand up in the slippers.
Are you okay? No, sorry.
Tanchola. Tanchola. Come see she won last. She a watch. Tanchola, watch she.
Right, come in, come in.
Next boy.
Travis, come in. Listen for something. Come, Travis.
Come on this way.
Yeah. Let Travis sit on their hands. Yeah, Papa, go. Sit down.
Touch your hand, touch your hand. Can you hold your hand?
Just call she from my position. Baby.
Go to the ground and lift the box.
Sorry. People took a picture, but they're going now. That's why I was calling you.
Ram Nam.
Alright. Don't worry, Mama. Don't worry.
Pick up the cloth from behind.
Pick up the cloth.
Okay then, Travis.
Uncle, seven. Right.
No.
Could do some magic. Yeah, yeah, you come with me? All right, no problem. Nigel, you from the front of the pull out now. How about this? All right, right. I gotta go in front. With you? Yeah, he going with me. Yeah, I go carry you. Try now? Try now? That's really sweet. Come on, wait, let me go. I'll get my bag. Holy foot. I just have to come up. Yeah. Hey, yeah, let's take the phone now, right? Yeah, end it.